What if I told you that 2,000 years ago, in the frozen forests of Denmark, barbarian chieftains carried something in their pockets that would make a modern Swiss army knife look primitive?
Denmark, 2019. A metal detectorist in Globalization makes a find that shouldn't exist. A complete folding knife, cast in copper alloy, intricate figural handle. But here's the problem. The design is Roman, but Denmark was never part of the Roman Empire. These lands were the edge of the known world, the frozen north, the realm of barbarians. At least, that's what we thought. The Roman Empire, at its peak, stretched from Britain to Mesopotamia, but it never reached Scandinavia. The Romans called these northern peoples barbarians, people beyond civilization, beyond trade, beyond Rome's technological reach. So what is a sophisticated Roman gadget doing in a Danish field? When archaeologist Thomas Birch first proposed this knife was Roman, his colleagues were skeptical. Too advanced, they said. Too early, they argued. The dating would push Roman influence into Scandinavia centuries earlier than anyone believed possible. But then, more knives started appearing. Oslo, Norway, another fragment. 2 more sites in Jutland, a distinct handle type from Zealand. Each one raising the same impossible question. How did Roman technology end up in the hands of people Rome never conquered? Think about that for a second. These weren't crude copies. These were authentic Roman craftsmanship, precision-engineered gadgets in the pockets of people who lived in wooden longhouses hundreds of miles beyond Rome's frontier. It's like finding an iPhone in a medieval castle.
Let's talk about what makes these knives extraordinary. These aren't just blades. They're friction folders, one of humanity's first collapsible tools. No springs, no locks. The blade is held in place by friction alone, by the pressure of your grip. An extended tang creates resistance. Simple, elegant, brilliant. But here's where it gets extraordinary. These weren't utilitarian tools. They were status symbols, art pieces, figural handles cast in bronze and copper alloy, eagles, panthers, gods. The knife found in Globalization features what appears to be a human figure, possibly Hercules or a deity. Think about the craftsmanship required. Lost wax casting, precise metalworking. This is high technology for the ancient world. But who owned these knives in Rome? Not legionaries. These weren't military issue. These were the pocket knives of the Roman elite. Merchants, traders, diplomats, people who traveled, people who needed utility with status. A way to say, I am sophisticated, I am connected to Rome. Iron blade, bronze handle. The iron had to be sharpened constantly. It didn't hold an edge like modern steel. But the bronze, that was eternal, resistant to corrosion, beautiful, distinctive. We think we invented the multi-tool, the concept of a compact folding blade you can carry anywhere. But the Romans were carrying these 2,000 years ago. Same concept, same purpose. The only difference, their version was a work of art. Here's where the mystery deepens. To understand how these knives reached Denmark, archaeologists needed to trace the metal itself. Enter metallurgical analysis. Using trace element analysis and lead isotope fingerprinting, scientists can identify where copper ore originated. Different mines have different chemical signatures. It's like a geological fingerprint. The Danish knife fragments underwent analysis at Aarhus University. The results? Roman provincial copper, likely from mines in Austrian Alps or Slovakia, part of the vast Roman metallurgical network. This confirms it. These aren't local imitations. These are authentic Roman imports.
But that raises an even bigger question. How does a luxury gadget travel 800 miles north through Germanic tribal territories into Scandinavia in the 1st to 3rd centuries CE? Think about the network this required. Someone in Rome commissions a knife. Bronze caster creates the handle. Blacksmith forges the blade. Merchant carries it to the frontier. Germanic trader acquires it. Northern trader transports it by ship. Danish chieftain owns it. At least 5 transactions, hundreds of miles, multiple cultures. This is globalization in the Iron Age.
But the story doesn't end with a few scattered knife fragments. In December 2024, archaeologists in Denmark made a discovery that changes everything we thought we knew about Rome's relationship with the north. Løsning, Søndermark, a site near Hedensted. What they found wasn't a battlefield, it wasn't a burial, it was a weapon sacrifice. 119 spears and lances, 8 swords, 5 knives, including Roman imports, 3 arrowheads, an axe, chainmail armor, and the crown jewel, the first complete Roman imperial helmet ever found in Denmark. This wasn't plunder from a distant battlefield. This was a deliberate religious offering, a ceremony performed after a great victory or the death of a powerful leader. The weapons were ritually killed, bent, broken, rendered useless, then buried together in what was clearly a sacred space. The Roman helmet, worth a fortune, was dismantled into pieces, distributed among warriors as trophies. Imagine the ceremony, torchlight flickering, warriors in a circle. The chieftain raises a Roman helmet, symbol of the most powerful empire on earth, and breaks it. A statement: we are not subjects of Rome. We take what we want from Rome, and we offer it to our gods. This is psychological warfare through ritual, the same impulse that makes modern military units display captured enemy equipment. A trophy case, a flex. Look what we took from them. The Roman knives tell us something profound about the ancient world. The border of the Roman Empire wasn't a wall. It was a membrane, permeable, dynamic, constantly exchanging goods, ideas, people. Research from Aarhus University has now traced 550 metal artifacts from Denmark's Bronze and Iron Ages. The results reveal something astonishing. Starting around 2100 BCE, 4,000 years ago, metals flowed into Scandinavia from the British Isles, Slovakia, the Austrian Alps, the Carpathian Basin. Denmark had no metal deposits of its own, no copper, no tin, no iron ore worth mining. Every single metal object, every weapon, every tool, every piece of jewelry came from somewhere else. This required maritime expertise, trading relationships spanning generations, trust networks across tribal boundaries. The Romans didn't need to conquer the north. They just needed to trade with it. The archaeological record shows Roman goods flowing north, wine amphora, glassware, coins, weapons, and yes, folding knives. And flowing south came amber from the Baltic, furs, slaves, warriors for hire as mercenaries. Some of these barbarians weren't barbarians at all. They were Roman foederati, allied troops, Danes and Swedes who served in Roman armies, earned Roman pay, and brought Roman gear home. The helmet from Løsning Søndermark might have belonged to a Danish warrior who fought for Rome before his people killed him and sacrificed his equipment. Here's the question historians are now debating. Were the Germanic peoples uncivilized barbarians, or were they sophisticated trading partners who simply chose not to adopt Roman culture? The knives suggest the latter. They had access to Roman technology. They valued it. They owned it. They just didn't want to become Roman.
So here's the twist. The Roman folding knife was never exclusively Roman. By the time it reached Denmark in a 2nd or 3rd century CE, Vikings were already making their own versions. Friction folders with iron blades, bone handles carved with Norse designs. They saw the Roman technology and said, "We can make that." And they did. The Romans thought they were bringing civilization to the barbarians, but the barbarians were reverse engineering Roman gadgets, taking the technology, adapting it, making it their own. Today, metal detectorists in Denmark are still finding fragments. Every new discovery rewrites the map of ancient trade. Thomas Birch estimates there are dozens more knives still buried, still waiting. Because here's the final truth about these knives. They aren't just artifacts. They're proof that the ancient world was far more connected than we ever imagined. That technology has always flowed along trade routes. That empires don't control innovation. They just claim credit for it. The next time you pull out your pocket knife, remember, you're using technology that's 2,000 years old, perfected by Romans, stolen by barbarians, and passed down through generations. Some inventions are so good, they become timeless. In 2025, 5 Roman folding knife fragments have been identified in southern Scandinavia. Archaeologists estimate dozens more remain undiscovered. The search continues. The gadgets of the past are still being dug up today. What other primitive cultures do you think had surprisingly advanced technology? Drop your theories in the comments. And if you want to see more archaeology that destroys everything you learned in school, subscribe, because the past, it's way more interesting than they told you.